Breaking news at 10 o'clock. Gunfire erupts tonight at the iconic Dooky Chase restaurant.
And right now, police say a man and two women were shot. One of them is dead. And this is all happening at the restaurant on Orleans Avenue in Treme.
We have team coverage right now. WDSU reporter Jasmine Franklin is live with what we know right now. What are officials saying, Jasmine?
Well, Stella and Gina, I'll first tell you it is a very emotional scene here outside of the iconic Dooky Chase restaurant. This is a live look at the scene right now. We were just asked by NOPD a few minutes ago to move further back from the crime scene tape as the coroner's office van is still here getting the body of the victim that was killed outside of the restaurant. Now, family members have been understandably very emotional, even crying after learning their loved one was killed. They say the person that was killed is a male and they actually saw his body laying inside the restaurant on the ground. Now, we have not confirmed those details with the NOPD yet, but the NOPD has confirmed 3 people were shot. The victims include 2 women and 1 male. Police say 1 person was killed. They have not clarified the victim's gender or if the shooting happened inside or outside of the restaurants. I will say we have not been able to spot any shell casings here outside of the restaurant on Orleans Avenue. But for the last 2 hours, police have been going in and out of the building. Now, Mayor Moreno, along with NOPD Superintendent Kirkpatrick, are also here. They also went inside the restaurant. There's a huge police presence here, and the crime scene tape is continuing to span. We're expecting an update from NOPD leaders at any moment. We'll continue to share more updates as we learn more. Back to you.
All right, Jasmine, thank you. This shooting comes in the middle of a busy Friday night for restaurants.
That's right. WDSU reporter Jonah Gilmore also continues our team coverage, and you've also been talking to people coming out of the restaurant. Jonah, what have they been telling you?
Well, Stella, Gina, I have been speaking with a few people who were actually inside the restaurant at the time of that shooting. Obviously, those people were a little shaken up, frantic as they were trying to get out. And we're going to go right to that press conference that's taking place right now. Gina, Stella.
All right, let's go ahead and take a listen into the press conference. We know Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick is out there. We are standing by for that any moment to give us some details about what's going on. So let's go ahead. You can see Mayor Helena Moreno is there with the superintendent. Let's listen in.
Obviously, we have a very tragic situation here. I will start off our comments and then I will turn it over to Chief Kirkpatrick to give you the details of this incident. First, let me start by saying that our prayers go out to the victims in this. We have 4 people shot. 1 person is dead. I do want to mention that the restaurant itself was not the target. It was a person who was running into the restaurant who was the target. I also want to mention that during the 85 years that this restaurant has been established here, that there's never been any type of incident like this. So this was a very targeted event toward 1 person. I have spoken with the owners of the restaurant along with the staff, and obviously this has been a very traumatic situation. I have offered the support of myself along with my administration, along with the New Orleans Police Department. I want to thank the New Orleans Police Department for getting here so quickly, along with our federal partners who are actively working with our New Orleans Police Department to find the person who is responsible for this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Kirkpatrick with the details of this particular situation. Chief.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So what we do know, and to repeat what the mayor said, this is a targeted situation. It is a known person who is the decedent. We do have video of the perpetrator and the event itself. The person who was the target simply ran into the restaurant and where he collapsed. So, and unfortunately, the perpetrator continued to shoot. So innocent bystanders who were patrons were actually hit, but they were in no way targets, nor was this restaurant. What we do know is that the perpetrator left the scene, turned around and came back, and then left again. And so we know the direction. We do know he was wearing a black hoodie, that he is an African-American person. And that's what, if anyone, we know that he ran back into the neighborhood area. Our victim is from this neighborhood. His family is here. And of course, we express condolences, no matter what the circumstances. So that's what we know. If anyone in the community if you will check your own Ring cameras, if you saw anything, observed anything, even if you don't know fully what you were looking at, but now later come back and go, I think I saw an argument, or I think I saw something. No little piece of information is too little. We want this information. So that's what we know for right now, but the person who is the responsible is not in custody yet, but we have always been able to track down someone knows what happened. And so if you have a question, we'll do what we can but to answer that right now, but that's what the big picture is of what happened.
Channel 4.
Condition of the other 3 individuals?
Yes, the 3 others, we have 2 who are critical. 1 is in surgery right now, and 1 is stable due to the nature of the wounds that that person received. I can tell you that it is unfortunate that all of our victims, other than the decedent, are visitors to our city, and that we're so sorry for that, because that's not who we are. We are a safer and safer city. We are a city that wants to welcome all of our visitors, but it is unfortunate that they were visitors to our city.
Channel 6.
Can you clarify if all of the victims were shot inside the restaurant, or was the male that's deceased shot outside?
I can verify they were inside, but they were not inside the restaurant. They were in kind of the foyer area, waiting, I believe, to either be seated or to be picked up, by an Uber or something. But that's what we know. It's a small little foyer area. That's where the person, so there's a door that closes between the foyer and the dining area, and that door, as my understanding, was closed at the time.
Channel 8.
As far as the genders of the victims, can you explain and the ages as well, if you have?
I don't have ages yet, nor do I have, I know one person is a lady, and I know one person is at least a man, but there were 3, and I don't know the gender of the other person.
The man?
The deceased is a male, 19 years old.
26.
Just to clarify, the victim that was killed,
Yes,
he was the targeted.
he was the target. This is a targeted event, and I cannot underscore enough for everyone, people who are visiting or in our residents, to understand Dooky Chase as a restaurant. No one in the family, none of the patrons, no one was a target, with the exception of the one who was the decedent. This is a targeted event.
Time Picayune.
Did you say that the victim was initially shot outside and then ran inside the restaurant?
He was being chased, and when the crime scene is able to be released to you, you will see that there were shootings and marks of ballistic bullets hit the frame on the outside. So I don't know if he went in and fell or if he was wounded as he was going in. I don't know all that detail.
The shooter followed.
Shooter followed him. We do know that. We have that on video.
Is there anyone I missed?
Can you clarify how many victims total? We were hearing
Total.
4, but 3.
3 victims who are alive, 1 decedent, so 4 shot.
And we'll send you all a release.
Yes.
Anything subsequent, we'll send it.
And any updates on our people who are at the hospital now, we'll give you updates as they come. But most important thing, if people will please check your Ring cameras, don't delay getting our information to us as soon as possible. Okay?
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, they're seeking the help of the public. They're asking the viewers, if you have Ring cameras or know anything, please let them know. The suspect tonight is at large, on the run, but it seems to have stemmed because of a targeted shooting situation where the perpetrator was chasing the victim. The victim runs into Dooky Chase, and then the perpetrator follows that person, opens fire. So the shooting happened at the entrance, at the foyer, and then in the process of that, innocent people in the restaurant got shot.
Let's get back to Jonah Gilmore, who is on the scene, who's been talking to witnesses there. Jonah, what can you add to this?
Yeah, Gina Sulla, I have been talking to people, but I can tell you the scene is kind of dying down right here with several people who were out here earlier when we arrived here starting to go in. But those witnesses that I talked to say they heard about 5 or 6 gunshots inside the restaurant. And as you just heard during that press conference, you heard the chief say that this was the restaurant was not the target of that shooting. They said that the victim was shot and collapsed inside the restaurant. They said that man followed him inside, continued shooting, hitting innocent bystanders. Some of those people who were inside the restaurant say they were just eating and it turned to a very chaotic scene. A lot of people were frantic, shaken up, just puzzled, trying to comprehend everything that was happening. But again, you heard the chief say in the restaurant's history, or the mayor Moreno in the restaurant's history, they have not had an incident like this. Now, we do know, we heard them say that the person who was killed was a known person to the area. They said, unfortunately, the suspect continued to shoot, hitting bystanders. And something also interesting that they said the suspect actually started shooting inside the restaurant, left, turned around, and came back again. That man tonight is still at large as details are still coming in on what actually unfolded here tonight. But again, all of those details we'll bring you live on air and online. Reporting live here on Orleans Avenue, Jonah Gilmore, WDSU News.